Okay, so let's talk about the next lifetime,
Shall I do a
please.
we were talking about my ex-husband trying to communicate to me uh, in this life, kind of maybe to expand my awareness, to make me realize that there are unresolved issues that need to be addressed, help me look at myself and figure that out. And then Miriam came up with a brilliant awareness.
Well, this light came down that made us understand that what we do a lot in this world is we repress feelings, right? But in that lifetime, or in the life to come, whatever that means, right? In the world to come, all there is the feelings. If we, what it's like, because all there is consciousness or
That's
super
it.
consciousness, right?
That's all.
It's only feelings. So it's like whatever feelings we're trying to get rid of in this world, and we think that we're gonna change by changing the physical circumstances. It's not about changing the physical circumstances. It's about changing the dynamics. It's about changing our attitude. It's about changing our behavior with the people that are around us. Because what is going to be left after we die is all the things that we said or and shouldn't have said, and all the things that we should have said and didn't say, and the feelings that come with that.
Yep. Going into the world of truth.
Right.
In the
That's
world of truth, there's no kidding
that's the other thing
yourself.
that
There's
came down. Right.
no kidding yourself. It's like
Right.
it's all there,
Right.
all laid out in front of you.
Right. And we treat this world very much like it's the essence of life,
We do.
right? It's like, that story about the two babies who are lying in their mother's womb. And one baby says to the other baby, "Do you believe in life after birth?"
I saw that. Somebody
Right?
posted that on Facebook again. It's
Yeah. Do you
hilarious.
believe in life after birth? Right? And they have like this whole discussion. And he says, "Well, we'll meet mommy." And he says, "Do you really believe that there's mommy?" And
It's hilarious.
yeah, and he says, I'm not really good in telling this story, but anyway, he says, of course there is mommy. I don't need to believe in mommy. I hear mommy. He
If
says,
you're
you really
really
believe
quiet,
harmony? You really believe here? You really hear mommy?
it was
Right? He
hilarious.
says, when I listen really, really quietly, I hear mommy. And the question is, when you allow, we don't want to be in quiet. Why don't we want to be in quiet, in isolation, turn off our phones and our televisions and our radios and everything? Because we say we want to hear God's voice. We say we want to hear our soul, but really it's too intimidating, because if I hear God's voice, maybe he'll tell me something that, I prefer to ignore, that I need to do something that I prefer not to do, that I need to go and talk to someone in a way that I don't feel like doing, right? And so it's like you want to hear God's voice, but you don't really want to hear God's voice. We need to decide if we really, really want to hear God's voice.
Is it perhaps that we're closer to the end of days? We have to be braver and more. There's more coming at us to make us like a mirror for us to see all the things that we need to change. I personally feel like I have to be open to it. I don't think I have a
I think
choice.
that this world is very characterized, I don't know, at least the world that I'm surrounded by is characterized with a lot of spirituality. I think that what it says, that in the times to come, what God says to us on the verge on the bricks of the sea, before the splitting of the sea, it says there that that like we that every slave saw like more than what the prophets had seen
I
right?
heard about that.
So more than any other prophet, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that in our days, this is exactly what's happening. Every simple person has amazing spiritual realizations
Yeah.
that, obviously, if you have such unbelievable realizations, you're not a simple person anymore. You're obviously a big soul.
Yeah.
But it's like, and if you look at the Hasidic times also, like, you say you have to have a great teacher, right? You said that before. It's like, what, you really think that a teacher is somebody with a big strymel and whatever? No, you can, I don't know, like I've experienced it my whole life. I would walk into a store and I would have a conversation with, or on the street, whatever. And I would talk to a random person. They would tell me amazing insights, right? They should be the biggest teacher in the world, but they're just a random person on the street. So
Been sitting with them having coffee and mulligan. Yeah.
so the question is, like, first of all, I think how much you sharpen your ears, you sharpen your eyes. When you sharpen your ears and eyes, you will hear God's voice in every person you talk to.
So that
And
means putting yourself aside.
you will also allow yourself to be maybe God's voice for someone else.
Definitely. But I think that people need to be brave. We need to be brave, and like we're all soldiers fighting a war, whether it's a physical war or a spiritual war. I feel like that.
Yeah, yeah, very much so.
It's
And
it's
it's like just like we see, like those soldiers who are in Gaza. It's like you would think that after a year and a half, it's not the same soldiers again and again and again, right? Who could be in the army for such a long time? I mean, except for the probably First and Second World War. In the last 100 years, I don't think there's been any army that was working so hard for such a long time. And the interesting thing is that it's the same soldiers that are in Gaza all the time. It's almost the same soldiers. I mean, obviously they have cycles, but it's like
they're
it's this,
assigned there. They're
they're there.
trained there.
No, but what I'm saying is that it's the same soldiers who are coming out for a month or two and going back in for 2 or 3 months. So it's
I don't
like,
know how
and
they're
then there's the
doing.
rest of the people
Yeah.
who are living a complete normal life. And and even if we were cooking for the soldiers or whatever, and when they were coming to us and saying thank you, I was like, don't thank me. So I stood in the kitchen for a few hours. I didn't leave my job and my career and my
Right.
family and my wife, my husband, my children, like all my friends, all my everything, all my hobbies, everything, and sleep in the dirt and eat from war boxes, and and sleep,
Getting
taking,
funguses
yeah, and
and
taking a shower once in a few weeks or days, whatever, and breaking my back. And a lot of them are not young people. There are a lot of soldiers in their 50s,
I've seen them on the train.
and like unbelievable. And they're like literally, some of them are fighting with the army to take them back into the war zone, because the army is like, you're old enough, and they're like, no, I'm still young, I can do it. So what I'm saying is that it's like, just like it's this, and all those same people who are in the army are also all the amazing people who always volunteer their time and always volunteer their money and always volunteer for anything that anybody needs. And then there's the people who will always be like, I'm sorry, I can't do it. I can't do this, and I can't do that, and I can't do that. And like like we admire them so much, but somehow we don't allow it to inspire us to be like them, right? So what I'm trying to say is that I want to allow myself to, um, that we should all be able to allow ourselves to look at these people not just with admiration, but with eyes of asking for
Inspiration.
inspiration.
To inspire us.
Yes, to be a little bit more like them, right? So
Amen.
then there's like, um, and also it's like I've been talking to these some women who are wives of soldiers, talking to other wives of soldiers, and One wife of a soldier says, I can't do it anymore. He hasn't been home for a year and a half. And another wife of another soldier will say, well, it's hard for you and me, but think how much harder it is for them, right? So it's like, I'm not judging one wife versus the other.
I know.
I'm just saying that take that comparisons and look at ourselves, how, I'm not saying, obviously everybody has their own ability and their own strength and whatever. But, like, I think that this war is very much about raising us all to the next level.
I think
It's
so.
the real battle is here. I mean, it's there, but it's also here. It's in our lives. It's in our how much can we do more for each other? Um, how much we can do more for our spouse. Forget the random person on the street even. Start with on your own home. How much more compassion can I raise towards my spouse? How much more compassion can I raise towards my child? How much do I remember that I'm a shaliach, a messenger, not just in a random person on the street or doing a big project, but to the people in my own home, that they also need an extra dosage of compassion and love. And it's really, really hard sometimes when you want to raise your voice, when you want to see something cynical, when whatever it is, like, or God forbid, say even a word that will echo in their ears, God forbid, for years later, because words could be so much more hurtful than anything else.
Yeah, I know.
So it's like, and I think that this is our real victory. Our real victory, talk about the week of Netzach. We're in the week of Netzach, which is victory. Netzach is eternity, but it's also victory.
Yeah.
And our real victory is in understanding that they want to defeat us not just as in the war zone, but they want to defeat our spirit. And every time we don't fight, every time we don't get divorced, I'm not saying nobody should get divorced. I'm not saying that you shouldn't stand for your rights. God forbid. I don't want it to resonate from it. So you need to stand for your rights. People need to respect you, etc. But also you need to understand the balance, and you need to try and see if you can work out a way to discuss through things in a way that will bring victory to your family, that will bring victory to your spirit, that will bring true victory to the whole ecosystem of your family, of your relationships, etc. Because think about the day after the war, right? Like how much, like how much family are you going to be left with, right? Like think about those soldiers coming back home after the war, right? If you haven't kept, I heard it from one of the mothers of the victims, of the captives.
Mm.
She said, I decided that when my son comes home, he's going to see a normal family. He's not going to see us collapsed, right? So some people, drain out their energy with, I'm not blaming, God forbid, and I'm not comparing, but I'm just saying, if we can get inspired by some people and not take example from other people, right? The instinctive way is always to fall apart. Can we overcome the instinct and not fall apart from everything that happens to us in life?
I think also, Miriam, that we have to be able to see the small victories and be able to like recognize because there's always like a light that seems to go on when you don't say that obnoxious statement
Right.
or you let somebody get in line ahead of you at the store. All these like
And you let them go in
little
line with a smile.
these are like little victories
Right.
that we often forget that we're doing.
Right.
That you overcome your resistance to give that
Right.
beggar yet another 20 shekels, and you do it anyway. These are
At least another five
huge.
shekels, right?
No, they're
Right.
huge. They
Yeah.
have a
Yeah.
huge impact in
Yeah,
the world, and
totally.
they're huge.
Totally.
When you smile when you're in pain, and
I mean, you wouldn't think about those extra 10 or 20 shekels if you would want another coffee, right? Why does it become an issue when it's a beggar, right? Then you have all these discussions, like, does he deserve it? Do I have it? Did I give enough? Whatever.
And that's just an example. There are so many little victories,
Right.
Not throwing that piece of paper on the floor, cleaning up after your animal, like hugging a tree now and then. Today I hugged a tree because I know that it's these amazing, majestic trees that are standing along our sidewalks. Every once in a while, I realize like they're amazing. They're
They're
giving
doing
off
us
this.
a favor,
They're,
cleaning
gi-
our oxygen, right?
they're giving off this positive, like they're standing there waiting for you to smile at them almost. They're like,
Or the birds, or the flowers, or,
yes,
right?
the
The
purple
whole nature.
the purple flowers are blossoming now. Oh man, you,
Every time you put a smile on your face, it's a victory,
it is.
right? Because it sometimes gets so hard to smile. So it's a victory in two ways. It's a victory because it's a spiritual victory, but it's also a victory because it actually, when you smile on the outside, you can always find a reason to smile. Once you find a little reason to smile and you put this little smile on your face, all of a sudden your heart feels more like smiling. It
Definitely.
becomes more and more natural. I mean, the saying "fake it until you make it" is so real. It's not until you make it sometime down the line in a million years. You fake it for 1 second, and the next minute you already make it so much more inside your heart. It doesn't mean that your circumstances have changed, but your inner weather has changed.
Yeah, I realized I was walking on the Tayelet last week, and I realized this woman was smiling at me the whole time, young woman, and I was thinking, you know, what's with her? And then I realized that she was just giving me some love on the Tayelet, and it was like, wow, it's really
Right,
special. It's a reminder that I have to do that more often.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we've met again,
Yeah.
and we're glad you've been with us. Thank you for hanging out with us. I hope you enjoyed it too. And subscribe and share to whoever you think will find it beneficial and make them a little happier, hopefully. And don't take everything that we're saying, to put yourself through, God forbid, a guilt trip, or like make yourself feel smaller. No, take it and see how it can make you feel bigger. Take it and see how it can make you feel better, how it can allow you to smile. Take one thought, don't take the whole thing. Take one thought that had touched you here and have it put a smile on your face. Try it at home and do it yourself. DIY. And I hope you have a great day and a great week of eternal victories, internal and eternal, infinite victories,
The
and
energy
in
is out there to help us
energies,
there.
and yeah, in relationships with everybody, with everything in your life. And keep in touch. Leave us a comment. We're waiting to hear from you. Till next time.